Leeds United are set to face off with Hull City today, and with 7 games to go in the season, the Whites really want to return to winning ways, especially after dropping points against Watford, and ninth place Hull are currently the team in the way of that. So, I'm going to run through the predicted lineup, how Hull are expected to play, and what Leeds United need to do to secure all 3 points, as well as some of my predictions. But first, subscribe. I'd hugely appreciate it. I'm trying to get to 3,000 fairly sharpish, so if you could, that'd be massively appreciated. No problem if not, though. Anyway, diving into it. The Leeds United predicted lineup is a little bit of a tricky one to predict this time around because not only are we missing key players, but we learned a few fun little lessons from the match against Watford. So the losses of Connor Roberts and Willie Nonto are set to be longer than we expected, so people were thinking that it'd be a slight knock coming off the international break. It turned out to be a little bit worse than that, 2 to 3 weeks for both of them. Not ideal in the slightest, to be honest with you. They are key players that would be fundamental in the run-in, even if they're not necessarily starting matches. Having that rotation option is a must. In addition to that, Liam Cooper very clearly struggled against Watford, which is a little bit of a problem because at centre-back we don't have the best depth anyway, seeing as Pascal Struijk isn't available, and Liam Cooper having issues such as that means that it's quite hard to pick him to start matches. And in addition to that, Ilya Gruev is still fighting for a return to fitness after his own international break issues meant that he came back, has a little bit of swelling, and is still trying to make sure that he's fully fit for the game. In addition to that, Jorginho Rutter still isn't in perfect condition, so I've done my best to pick a sort of starting 11 that I think we could see, having learned the lessons from Watford, and ideally trying to balance fitness with that as well. So I've gone with Ilham Ali in goal. Obviously, I think he's our best option for a goalkeeper. At left back, I've gone with Junior Firpo with Ampadu and Rodon alongside him, purely because that centre-back pairing works. Don't ruin it. It's effective enough as it is, and then Sam Byram playing at right back because the midfield is Kamara and Gray. I think resting Gruev is an absolutely essential thing to do for this game. Having him fit for as many of the 7 matches remaining as possible is a must, so rushing him back for a game against Hull, only for him to get injured in the first half, would be horrendous. Bad decision. Avoid it. In front of that, I've gone for a basically unchanged lineup. Somerville, Rutter, James. Hopefully Rutter's feeling a little bit better right now because he's had a little bit more time since his surgery. I don't think he will have aggravated the injury in the match against Watford because he didn't seem to be in too much discomfort, but I think that was more of a precaution than anything. And in addition to that, Patrick Bamford starts up top. Matteo Joseph is really proving himself as a good player, an effective player, but I don't know if he's ready to start yet. And even then, I think his energy off the bench is a little bit more effective for us right now. So we know the lineup that we might end up playing with, but it's equally important to know who you're going to be playing against. Hull City, and their recent form is something that we really need to pay a little bit of attention to because as of late, not many teams have been mauled by the Tigers. The last 5 matches, they've had 4 draws and a loss. They've not won in the last 5 matches. And that loss was to Stoke, who are towards the bottom of the table, definitely struggling, not a side that look like they're going to be beating too many teams, and it's quite promising for us right now because Hull are in that little bit of a downslope at the moment. In addition to that, they're really struggling to create chances. Slipping out the playoffs at the moment, I think they were 5th at one point, down to 9th at the minute, which means that clearly the results are not going their way and they're not getting the performances that they need. It's not good for them, basically. And if they're not creating chances, yes, they're outperforming their XG, but you need to have a chance to outperform the likelihood of scoring from that chance. And that loss of chances is partially coming from the way that Hull City play. They do play possession football, like Leeds United do, and they focus quite a lot on that highly effective finishing. However, that possession football isn't as good at retaining the ball as it was earlier on in the season. Sorry, hiccups. Which means that basically they don't have enough possession to create those opportunities, which is bad because they do have that effective finishing, but then again, it doesn't really matter if you've not had the ball, and that means that they end up tending to lean on some key talented players, including Jaden. I never know whether it's Philogene or Philogeny, so I'll just go with Jaden and Fabio Carvalho, who Leeds United were rumoured to be signing in January. We ended up not. I think that was probably the right move in the end. I'm not 1,000% sure, but we could only sign one player on loan. I'm quite happy we went with Roberts because he's done reasonably well when we've played him. Outside of those two players, this is a side that tends to struggle quite a lot. I'm going to have a very quick look at their top scorers right now. Yeah, good old Jaden is their top scorer. 8 goals. He's got 6 assists as well. Ozan Tufan gets a few as well. Aaron Connolly, Liam Delap, who is injured. Scott Twine gets some. And then it's Fabio Carvalho, who's only been there since January. So that tells us that they don't have that many goals in their team. And if we're able to shut down the talents, we should be okay. And they do have plenty of weaknesses as a side. They're missing Jacob Greaves going into this game. He's their best centre-back in the team so far this season, played 36 matches, I think, but suspended with a red card, which is absolutely an opportunity for us because it means that they have to have a replacement centre-back come in. And we know how a lot of fans felt when Liam Cooper came in for us. They're in the same situation. Plus, they already allow a lot of chances to be created. They're already a side that concedes a lot of opportunities, and we're a team that not only creates lots, but we finish at a higher rate than our XG. Extra good. It means that we'll create lots of chances, we'll put them away, and hopefully things will go well in this game. Again, this is going off the statistics and a rough forecast of what we can expect to see. Things can always vary from game to game, but something else that they struggle with quite a lot is individual skill. Individual skill has been excellent against them this season because defensively they're not as good as they are in the attack. And that means that we can really target them. I think Somerville will have another great day. I think if he's on the ball, Dan James will as well. I think he might be mentally recovering from the whole Welsh shebang. Ideally, he is, and that'll be absolutely excellent for his growth going into this game. In addition to that, they're not brilliant from set pieces. A lot of the times that Leeds United concede goals in at least 2024, all but 2 of our league goals have been set piece goals. And if they're not very good in the air, that worsens their chance from set pieces and means that we'll be even tighter than we are already. So, in response to all of these issues, how exactly should Leeds United play? I think we really need to try and maximise that space in the middle of the park. They're a side that plays 2 at the back, which is fine enough, and it means that Patrick Bamford will be able to drag those centre-backs out of position. But you need to consider that Jorginho Rutter is still not going to be 100%. So you need those other 2 central midfielders, potentially Gray and Kamara, to sort of distract their central midfielders, maybe one of the centre-backs, and give Rutter as much space as he can physically get. That gives him a little bit more time, another moment to just take a second, scan the pitch, see what passes are on, and find the right one. In addition to that, we really need to learn the lessons from the Watford match. We really need to put the defensive solidity first and then build up from there. The issue against Watford was that we conceded 2 fairly daft goals. And from that point, we're just chasing the game. And if we're chasing the game, other teams can sit back in that defensive shape that we find more difficult to break down. And we don't get to build a more effective game. We have to struggle, which I think we can really work against in this game if we just defend solidly from the very beginning of the match and then work from that point forwards. In addition to that, the press will be essential. They're a team that suffer a fair amount of turnovers, and that's something that we can honestly look to victimise in this match because we're a team that's really good at pressing at the same time. So my predictions for this match: it's 2 teams that really like to have a lot of possession, so I think there'll be a massive battle for that. It'll be highly aggressive in terms of pressing and pressure all across the pitch. But it's hard to make predictions because I think a lot will come down to lineup. If we come out like we did in the second half against Hull, we will be completely fine. If we come out like we did in the first half against Watford, I think we could have some issues, purely because we saw there were structural problems with that and we sort of struggled to build our way into the game. Fine margins will define this match. It is not only a Yorkshire-ish Humberside, I don't know, derby, but it's one with a team that is desperately looking to rebuild some form in Hull and a team that have had the odd tiny little wobble in Leeds. I wouldn't say that we've dropped in form because we're still performing to a decent level, but there are some people that say we've dropped some points. We might need that confidence back. Ultimately, I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. I don't think it will be very comfortable, purely because I don't think we do very comfortable at this stage of the season, and I'd be disappointed if we did, because that's not very championship. But finally, I want to know what you think. Let me know your score predictions down in the comments below. Like the video if you enjoyed as well, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Help me push towards that 3K target. That'd be fantastic. Hope you enjoyed. I will see you later. Also, Easter egg from yesterday's video, I didn't end up getting that ice cream. The ice cream van was too far gone by the time I was able to get towards it. And that was genuinely, honestly devastating. See you later.